What if one decision at 33 years old could change your life forever? If that same decision could turn a struggling bank into one of Africa's biggest bank? What if that same decision could turn a struggling bank into one of Africa's biggest success stories? This is not a fiction. This is a true story of Tony Elumelu, a Nigerian banker, investor, and philanthropist whose journey teaches us that success is never about luck. It's about courage, vision, and timing. Welcome to Business with Adeola. If you are passionate about business, money, and stories that truly inspire, then make sure you subscribe, because what you are about to hear is not just a story, it's a blueprint. Tony Elumelu was born on March 22, 1963 in Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria. He wasn't born rich. His parents were hardworking but modest people. Tony often said his biggest lesson came from watching his parents' discipline and consistency. They worked hard for every naira they earned. From a young age, Tony had questions most kids didn't ask. How do people become successful? Why do some people work hard all their lives but never get rich? He didn't have the answers yet, but he made a decision early. He wanted more out of life. He studied economics at Ambrose Ali University and later earned a master's degree in economics from the University of Lagos. But here's where his story gets interesting. While most of his friends wanted just a job, Tony wanted to understand business, how it worked, how it grew, and how money could be multiplied. After graduation, he joined Union Bank as a young analyst. He was smart but quiet, observant, always learning. But deep down, Tony knew something. He didn't want to remain an employee forever. Still, how could he build something bigger with no capital, no connections, and no experience? He didn't even know yet, but life was already preparing him. In the early 1990s, Nigeria's banking industry was chaotic. Many banks were collapsing, others were barely surviving. Among them was Crystal Bank, a small struggling bank that was almost dying. Now, imagine this. A 33-year-old man, not a big name, not a famous banker, applies to lead that failing bank. That man was Tony Elumelu. People laughed. You run a bank. You are too young. Even other experienced bankers can't fix it. But Tony had something they didn't believe. He gathered a small group of like-minded young professionals and told them, we can turn this bank around. We can do it differently. They didn't have money. What they had was a plan and a crazy faith. It was risky. One wrong move and Tony's career would be over. But he took the chance, because sometimes playing safe is the most dangerous thing you can do. Once Tony became the managing director, he rolled up his sleeves. He renamed Crystal Bank to Standard Trust Bank, STB. And from day one, his focus was clear. Build trust, build value, build people. He worked long hours. He met clients personally. He built a culture that felt different. One where employees saw themselves as partners, not workers. When customers walked into STB, they could feel it. Something had changed. Slowly, the bank began to grow, then faster, then dramatically. In just a few years, Standard Trust Bank became one of the most profitable banks in Nigeria. People who once laughed started asking him for advice, but Tony wasn't celebrating. He was already thinking ahead. He told his team, if we can turn a small bank into something strong, imagine what we could do with a bigger one. He was already planning a merger that would shake the entire financial sector. It was 2005. Tony saw an opportunity, a big one. United Bank for Africa (UBA). One of the oldest banks in Nigeria was struggling to modernize and compete with new generation banks. Tony believed the future belongs to institutions that could blend experience with innovation. So he took a daring step. He led a merger between Standard Trust Bank and UBA. Many people thought it would fail. Two different cultures, two leadership teams, two systems. The process was chaotic. There were fights, disagreements, and sleepless nights. At one point, Tony was advised to step down, but he refused. He told his board, "If we want to build a truly African institution, we can't run away from challenges." He stayed, he fought, and eventually he won. Under his leadership, UBA transformed into a pan-African powerhouse, expanding to over 20 African countries and establishing offices in London, Paris, and New York. It became one of the most respected financial institutions on the continent. But after achieving what most people would call the dream, Tony made a shocking move. He stepped down. Why? Because he believed that true success is not about staying comfortable, it's about building again. After leaving UBA, Tony didn't disappear. He started Heirs Holdings, a private investment company with interest in energy, real estate, healthcare, and financial services. He wanted to build something bigger than banking, something that could create jobs, grow industries, and transform Africa's economy. He also acquired a controlling stake in Transcorp, one of Nigeria's largest conglomerates. To Tony, this wasn't just business, it was legacy. And in 2010, Tony launched the Tony Elumelu Foundation. Its mission is to empower 10,000 African entrepreneurs. Today, that number has grown even larger. Every year, thousands of young Africans receive seed funding, training, and mentorship from the foundation. Tony once said, "If I can build one successful business, why not help others build 10,000? He called it Afri-capitalism, the idea that Africa's private sector can drive economic growth and social change. He wasn't just building wealth, he was building people. What makes Tony different? It's not luck, it's discipline and long-term thinking. He wakes up early, he reads constantly, he invests in people, not just profit. He believes that consistency beats talent and vision beats resources. His story teaches us that you don't need to start big, you just need to start bold. So, if you are watching this right now, maybe you feel stuck, maybe you've tried and failed, or maybe you are waiting for the perfect moment to start. There is no perfect moment. He didn't wait for money. He didn't wait for approval. He started with belief, strategy, and action. Because in business and in life, courage always comes before success. If Tony Elumelu's story inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs hope today. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because on Business with Adeola, we share stories that teach, inspire, and remind you that your dream is still valid. One day, your own story might be the one we tell here. Until then, keep building, keep believing, and keep becoming. See you in my next video.